Alright guys, how you doing? It's an exciting day here in the VintageSpeed garage shop. We have the new project truck in the shop here. I'm gonna give you a quick walk around, point out some of the key items on the truck, some of the things that we're gonna do. This truck's gonna be kind of a budget build. I'd like to go hog wild and spend a lot of money and build a really nice truck here, but we're gonna do kind of a rat rod on the exterior. I don't really like that term, but we're going to keep a kind of a rough exterior to it for now. We might go satin black at some point. But what I'm going to focus on right now is drivetrain, electronics, getting the interior squared away, and suspension. And then proper wheel and tire combination. And then after we get all the mechanicals done and we get it nice and comfortable riding and comfortable interior, get the glass back in it and all that, then we'll consider revisiting the exterior of it and doing a little paint and body work to it. But for now, we've got our hands full with this project. So I'm going to give you a quick walk around. It's a 48 Chevy truck, 3100 I believe is the model. Bitchin' truck, man. It doesn't have much rust in it. I haven't got it up in the air yet to check out the underneath, but it looks pretty solid so far. The exterior is pretty solid. Exterior looks really good. No major accident damage that I found yet. Everything looks great. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be nice to not have to repair it before you can work on it and modify it. So we're gonna start the teardown today. I'm gonna pull the whole front clip off of it so I can get to the motor. We're gonna yank out the straight six and the 4-speed that's behind it, pull off the drive line, and get the front end up in the air so I can see what I'm dealing with front suspension wise. It's a solid axle. Rear end, I'm not sure exactly what rear end that is. It's a early GM rear end. It's all on leaf springs, front and rear. Real skinny little leaf springs. But it seems to be pretty soft, so I think it's drivable. I think our plan right now is we're going to drop that 350 from the donor truck into here. I'm going to put a T5 5-speed behind it with hydraulic clutch slave and a hydraulic master. We're going to get a Mustang 2 front suspension under here with A-arms. We're going to go with the wide Mustang 2 version, which is 60 inches wide for these trucks, which I think would be perfect. And we're probably going to swap the rear end for the rear end out of the donor truck, the 10-volt that came out of the donor truck, which is a little wider. So the overall stance will be, the track width will be wider, and we'll run a little bit deeper offset modern style wheel on it. I've got a couple ideas for the wheels, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. But we're going to go with a more modern wheel, lots of tire on the ground, sway bars, proper coilover shocks, and make it a really good handling, good driving car. It's going to have power windows, power door locks, cruise control, air conditioning, all of that stuff that this truck didn't have in 48. So I think it's going to be a great project to follow along. And I'm going to try and make progress quick, so we'll see. We'll be at it every day, and I'll try and get video every day of what we're doing so you guys can kind of keep up with the build. I know I'm behind on videos right now, so this video will probably be a little bit behind, but I'm just trying to start churning that stuff out. So without further ado, let me give you a quick walk around on the truck. So here she is. So 48 Chevy, got the nice, awesome front grille. I love these wraparound grills in the front. It's got the big bulgy hood, which is awesome. Nice curvy fenders. You know, they don't make cars like this anymore with awesome body lines. It's got crotch coolers and the hood vent, cowl vent up there for ventilating that interior. You know, in 1948, that was what you wanted, or what you got if you wanted air conditioning. My client has the rear fenders right now, so there's no rear fenders on it currently. But we don't need those yet anyway. Tailgate is in awesome condition. I don't think I've ever seen a 70-year-old tailgate that looked quite as good as this one. Not a ding or a dent in the Chevy script, which is awesome. There's not much in here for a bed floor currently. But we're going to solve that problem. We're going to cap the ends of the bed rails. And I'm probably going to weld up this filler neck hole that's hacked. It's not an original hole, I don't think, or it's been modified. I still have to do some homework on that. I think we're going to run with the tank under the bed and get rid of this interior. Oops, get rid of this inside tank. But as you can see, man, there's no damage. These doors are in great condition. Pillars are in great condition. There is a spot of rust here in the corner of the floor. The rest of the floor looks pretty solid. This tank has been put in here, and I'm not sure that that's original or a proper reproduction tank for this truck. So we're going to look for tank options. No rust at all in the roof that I've found. And you can see they really hacked the cab corner here to put that filler neck in. I mean, I've seen some hack work before, but it looks like the guy went at it with a chisel and a hammer. I'm not sure how else to explain some of that damage there. We're going to take care of that. Doesn't have a bad stance, but look how far in the fender. There's probably 6 inches here between the tire, face of the wheel, and the outside of the fender lip. And we're going to change that by moving the wheel out with the Mustang 2 front suspension at least 2 inches. That'll give us a little bit more clearance for wider wheels and tires between the frame rail and the inside of the tire, and let us run modern brakes and get a little wider stance, a little wider track, better handling, which I think is my goal for this project, to make a good handling old truck that you can hop in and drive wherever you want to drive it to. It's a little dark here under the hood, but straight six. Got the awesome Uga horn here on it, which we're going to keep for the here for the project. It's going to stay. Twin exhaust downpipes. You can see the steering gear here. Looks like a stock, manual box. Sits right in the way of where the headers are going to go for a 350. So, the other benefit to going to the Mustang 2 front suspension on this is we get to move that steering box. The Mustang 2 front end uses a rack and pinion as opposed to a manual or mechanical gearbox like what's currently mounted in here. So going with the Mustang 2 front suspension will alleviate a lot of clearance problems that we're going to have mounting the 350 in here. Plus we've got to box the frame rails in anyway, so while I'm doing the frame rail work, I might as well put the cross member in for the Mustang 2 front suspension. It just makes sense to do that all at once in the front end. And then we'll get the TBI 350 mounted in here with the T5 behind it, make a cross member for that. And that should alleviate some of our clearance problems with the exhaust manifold on the driver's side. And we still may have to go with block hugger headers, sorry, to resolve any other clearance issues we might have in here. But I want to keep the motor nice and low, keep it in there tight where it should be, and not have to move it around and put it in an uncomfortable position. I also don't want to modify the firewall too much. As you can see here, the firewall is in great shape. It hasn't been hacked up too bad. Sorry it's so dark in here. I'll get some lights under here so you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. But this truck is in such great condition. It's not a hack job, you know. They haven't even, you know, there's not a dent in the firewall, which is after 70 years, it's kind of unusual to see, and for me it's a pleasant surprise to see that the truck hasn't been hacked to death by previous modifiers, you know, previous customizers and whatnot. I've got a lot of little things to fix. There's no door internals in it currently, but that's no big deal. And as you can see, it does have, I believe this is an easy wire harness, similar to a painless harness setup. And doesn't look like they've ran too much of it. They did run the front end wires up through the firewall. Ran them in a bad spot, so we're gonna fix that. We're gonna strip this whole firewall down. We're gonna get that blower motor and heater core box out of here. The dash is in pretty decent shape. You can see that the common hacks for stereos have been done, but it doesn't have a big giant DIN slot in it, which is good. My client does have all the dash pieces, all the factory chrome. So we're definitely going to put the dash back to factory. I'm going to weld up those holes that are in there for the radio and probably get a radio block-off plate. We are going to run a stereo, but we won't be putting it in the factory location in the dash. It's just, I've owned so many vehicles that have had hacked up dashes, metal dashes, and it's like one of the biggest sins in my book is to cut up a factory metal dash. You know, once it's been hacked, there's no going back. You know, in my opinion, and I've done it myself, but I much prefer not doing that these days. And a nice factory clean dash with all the stock chrome and trim pieces, painted to match the either interior or exterior color, I think is the right way to go, and pays proper respect to the truck and the vintage of it. You know, after to have a nice clean dash after 70 years. Is kind of a milestone, in my book. So we're gonna keep the dash factory appearing, and not make too many modifications to it. Any mods that we do will be any mods that we do perform will be underneath the dash and or under the seat. So those are the potential locations for the stereo. We're going to do a vintage air system in here, which will mount under the dash, but it won't, affect the dash itself. Any switches that I put in the truck will be either vintage era switches or switches that look as they should fit in a 70-year-old truck. One of the cool things that my client wants to do is exhaust cutouts. So I think I'm going to do exhaust valves, electronic dump valves, so we can be loud when he wants to be loud. He can flip a switch and open the headers, and then when the cops pull up next to you, you can flip the switch and close the headers back to run the exhaust back through the mufflers. So that's on the books. We've got a cool aluminum radiator to go in here. Sorry about the dog barking. We've got a cool aluminum radiator that my client gave me with the truck. It doesn't look like it's ever had any water in it. Doesn't look like a high-end radiator, but I think it'll work just fine. Champion. And in case I get lost along the way, I've got the Chevy truck shop manual here to bail me out. So there we go. It's just a quick walk around of where it stands as I received it. My brother was kind enough to help me get this. We took the donor back and picked up the 48 here. So much thanks to John for helping me out with that. So I guess it's time to quit talking about it and start doing something with it, right? So I'm gonna turn this off, set up the tripod, and start pulling fenders, pull the front grille, get the fenders off of it and the hood off of it. Hood hinges are obviously needing some work, so you know, those are coming off for now. I'm not going to worry about alignment fitment issues right now. You know, I'm going to stay on track with the motor. So we're going to get the straight 6 out of here right now, and once I get the T5 to go behind the 350, then I can drop that into place and see what kind of interference problems we're going to have. So I'm going to shut this off now, guys. That's a quick walk around introduction. Please click like and subscribe if you like what you see, and if you want to follow along with this project, and I will do updates as frequently as I can, at least twice a week. So I'd like to get to a point where I can do them more often than that, but for now I think twice a week will kind of keep you up to date with what we're doing, and I'm going to make progress on it every day. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.